Hello and welcome to another tier list. This one will be on solo laner ultimate abilities and how good they are. You'll see some that are a bit weird solo laners like Aries or Posh, a bit more niche. Deathwalker picks, shall we say. But we're going to be talking there about their ult specifically for solo. Like Aries is a good ult for support. Is it as good for solo? You'll have to see. There's a bunch of things in here, and there's a few gods I could put in here as well, like Ganesh, I guess. Horus is definitely one that could have been. Bacchus is definitely one that could have been. A Wheelix. So Wheelix is actually quite good in solo, I think. Not quite good, but it's like very playable. But aside from that, we're going to start with Achilles, and it's just good getaway, CC immune, good. Well, it's obviously an execute, so it's good against like Kepri. And it will just it's an element that can feel underwhelming if you don't use it correctly, which is to say executing people. But if you're using it just for damage, you're like, well, this is a bit crap, isn't it? But then you're like, okay, no, it's not that bad. Just okay, stable mid tier. Now Alpwash top tier, no, it's like a strong element because it's definitely like one of the best parts for the kit whilst being in solo. Because I'm thinking primarily about when he gets ganked at this point, because it's his only real way of getting someone off him is just ulting and walking through his ult. Sometimes it doesn't do anything to someone and they just walk through it, and you're like, well, I'm just dead then. And that's why it's not a top tier armor, but probably not even in like team fights and stuff. And Achilles, obviously, it can hit multiple people if you execute someone, so something to keep in mind. Amaro is quite strong. Yeah. It's a long CC immune with a stun and quite a bit of damage. Also paired with her mirror. I don't remember what number it is, but her mirror, I think it's a 2. Yeah, her 1's a thing and there's 3 is a dash. So a 2. Paired with that, it provides a lot of damage. Usually if you're landing all 3 hits on someone, it's a kill, which is really strong. It's definitely one of the better things about a kit. Now, Shite, Anubis it's just it's too immobile. You at least see immune during it, which is fine. And it can kind of doesn't kill people quick enough. Like you're playing against the tank, and the tank's just going to build procs, and you're not going to kill him. You can do things to the backline, but you're never really going to get in a position to get on the backline. So you kind of like. It's just a bit shite in the solo lane. In the mid lane, it's not much better. It's not a great helmet. It's not a great kit. Aquang, say it's pretty similar to Achilles. Both executes. Aquang's one heals him, makes him into a dragon. So if you eat the jungle or something, then you just can back away from the other solo lane. So it's just alright. It's pretty similar to Achilles. Afro is always going to be a strong ultimate, but the issue is you're not really linked to someone. Well, if you're linked to someone, it's top tier. But if you're like not linked to someone, it's just for you. It's still very strong. You could probably still go in top tier. It's just to get our jail free card. Just gonna put in strong. Aries for solo lane. Just provide a decent amount of damage, CC immune, and always what's his beads. I'd say it's pretty strong. It's not as good as it in support because you're not rotating and using it as much for that. You're more using it to try and solo the enemy solo laner or jungle or something like that. You're not using it for big team fight falls. But then again, you'll be in the late game. Okay, now I need to remember what Arceus does for her. Arceus, well, it's not a roll, but her. It is a roll, but okay, we're gonna have to do a bit of Googling. Oh, fuck off. Druid farm, yeah, cool. Artio. Load faster, come on. Artio. Decompose, no, I don't care. Shapeshift. Movement speed MP5, it's not terrible, but it's not what I was looking for. So we're gonna go with like a week. He's not shite. It's 3 stats, but nothing too insane. Okay, now we're going top tier Athena roll. It's yeah, it's Athena roll. It's global ultimate. You might be able to find it harder to use from the solo lane, but even still, it's still so strong. Don't really say much on it. Barodo is just alright. Does a decent amount of damage, brings someone in, forces beads, but it's not an Aries ult. You're very immobile while using it, and you're very not vulnerable, but easy to rush down. If the tank takes it, then the squishies can just go, yep, I'm killing you. General, strong or top tier? I'd say top tier because it's just a really good team fight. Like, it's also really good for soloing someone. It does a lot of damage, gives you a lot of stats for fighting in it, and it's just really good. It's actually really underrated, I'd say. I like it. Brachano is strong, alright. I don't know. It's definitely not shite or weak. Don't think it's top tier though. So it's gonna fall into one of these. I'm going with strong. Somewhat. Sorry. Actually, I'm gonna go with alright because there's quite a few people that can get out of it. I was looking at the ones I've put in already. Actually, can anyone get out of it? You blown a can with a roll. You just blown it with a roll. Okay, so Bracken, yeah, just alright. Could definitely be argued for strong, but I'm gonna go with alright. And another one that's alright is Camazotz. Because as a solo laner, you're not using it for the damage as much, you're using it to survive. So yeah, it's just alright. It's a nice long CC immune ultimate. Could be argued for strong as well. Serbo is quite a bit like Aries ult, but I'd say yeah, but it's more countered by other people because if they're not immune, they're not going to get caught by it. But Serbo is strong. Shango is strong, which is something I don't usually say about Shrug because it's a bad character. So yeah, it's a silence and knock up a lot of damage, a really large circle. So yeah, I definitely think it's a good ultimate. Definitely the best part of his kit. I really enjoy it. Chugga for a solo laner, her ult's on a really short cooldown and she does a decent amount of damage with it and it's got a nice stun. But it's not like outstanding, it's just okay. Now, if we're talking about top tier ultimates though, it's always just really, really good. It provides a lot. It provides heal, it provides damage, knocker, large area control. Just very good and very tanky as well. So yeah, definitely a ultimate worthy of the top tier. Collins ults are just strong. I love his ultimates. I don't think they need to be changed unless, well, improved in any way, I should say. I think they might maybe need enough, but not a buff. Just a lot of damage, a knock up, a tremble. Yeah, nice and easy. Erlen Shango is in solo lane, you're using it mostly for the heal. Not really so much for the taunt. Because most of the time you're going to be using this is when you're getting ganked and try not to die. That is simply what it's for most of the time. When you're in the jungle, it's a lot different. You're using it for the taunt because you're trying to confirm the kill, but it's just different in solo lane. Fenrir will always be strong. It's a beads badder. But it's also a good guy. Actually, you could go in top tier. You could really argue this one goes in top tier. Yeah, I'd say it's top tier because it burns beads, and if they don't have beads, then they're probably just dead. Simple as. And we're not. It's kind of like I'm talking about the team fight phase and the laning phase, and it's the same in both. So yeah, top tier, I might. Gabble in solo lane is just kind of weak because you don't get that much follow up off it because it's only Gab. Gab in solo lane is also just kind of a ball fest, and you're just playing for late game. Snooze Fest alert. When you ultimate, strong. Long CC immune ultimate. A lot of damage, provides a stun. Just works really well with his kit as well. It's never going to be a bad ultimate when you ult. So yeah. Strong could I actually? I'm probably putting this in top tier. Actually, I don't know why. What's there not to like about it? So yeah, top tier. Hades ult is alright. On the one hand, it's a great pull and lots of damage, but how often do people actually get caught out by a Hades ult? Fortunately, he's too predictable, and people either can just jump out or beads out, and they can just walk out of his range because he's so predictable as a god, and unfortunately, that's just how it is. Hell, I don't actually know what Hell's ultimate does. Well, I know she's a stance shifter, so it's going to be like she's Hell's been in the game forever, hasn't she? Hell. Fourth ultimate dark stance damage protections. So it's power and protections. She has MP5. Okay, so it's free stats at the end of the day. I'd say it's just alright. It's better than RTOs. I'd say it's alright. Hercules all strong to alright. It's a lot of damage, you know. It's strong damage and it's CC immune, short cooldown, yes, and it does bounce and hit people quite often. Yomo is at face value, it's strong, but then you kind of think about what Yom's meant to be doing. It's actually just quite weak because he's meant to be a frontline. But why isn't the ult? He's not being a frontline, and that's not him. That's not like. That's just how it is. That's just how his ult is. It's a good getaway, really good getaway. But I'd say it's a weak ultimate. King Arthur, well, top tier. Fuck. Yeah, it's a lot of damage. He has two that are a lot of damage. Stuns. One's really long stun. The other one's still quite long. I mean, everyone knows King Arthur's ult. It's so strong. Top tier. Crucible is actually quite strong, you know. I'm gonna go with this because the ones I've got above it. But Kuzenbo, it's strong. It's strong, you know. It does a lot of damage. Because I was like, oh, that's actually got a weak ult. But then it chunks people and provides a knock up and all that. So yeah, I'd say it's actually quite strong. Oh, this one's really a 50-50, but one that's not is Lokio. It's for a solo lane Loki, it's just okay. It's good single target prioritization. Always going to be great in the team fights. It's CC immune, good get away. But you're not one-shotting people as a solo lane Loki. Well, you might be if you're building him like not as a solo laner. But unfortunately, if Loki does a one-shot, he kind of struggles a little bit. So I'll just put in alright. Milano is definitely another one I'd put in alright, maybe in week. But I've not had too many bad experiences with Milano. I like that it's now cancelable, and I also enjoy the damage it gives you, the knockup, the root, all that good stuff. It's alright. One that's definitely seen better days is Nijaro. It's good CC, decent damage, but as a tank, you're not actually going to be killing people very quickly. So, well, not killing people even in general. So you're just going to be hoping that you got a teammate following you up. Nikeo is quite strong. It's a really long slow. It's large shield. Does it do damage? Might do a little damage, but it's a decent ult. You know, it's quite strong. But top tier ultimates Odin. I mean, anti-heal cage that does damage if you jump out of it. What's not to like? It's a really strong ult. And when Odin's not being patient, he's in a bad place because this ult is always top tier. I remember you used to not be able to break it or something like that. It was something crazy, and you just stuck in it unless you had Phantom. Cyrusol, it's just alright. It's just a root anti-heal. It's CC immunity, and it is a leap, but it's kind of like Bologna, but quite a bit worse, in my opinion, because Bologna provides you with a lot after you land, whereas the Cyrusol is not that much. Good anti-heal, but that's about it. Right ult, strong. Just a nice setup ult for whoever is needing it. It's also a really good getaway if you get ganked or if any of that's needed. It's just a strong ultimate. Always will be a strong ultimate, even in solo. Ravenel, pretty just. Let's look at. Ravenel is just alright. It's kind of similar to Osiris, so it's just a leap, but this one does a lot more damage. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Osiris' passive status is passive. That's one thing I should say. Ravenzel's just pure damage, which you're not necessarily completely looking for in a solo laner. So he's not as outstanding as some of the other ones above him. Sakato is always going to be strong. It's a lot of damage, true damage. So you can build quite tanky on Sakato and still do a lot of damage with her ult. Obviously, it spreads to other people if they die near each other. Yeah, so it's a decent little ability, you know. Settle, well, we all know Settle is just top tier, just infinitely spawning his spawns, running it down, healing. Yeah, just a really annoying ult to deal with, and just top tier. It's the whole reason Set is good. Not the whole reason, but most reasons. Supergirl, just strong, nice, slow. You know, I'm putting alright. It's nice, slow, but it's quite easy to get away from it, and not get away from it, but like avoid it. And the damage is nice, but it's not outstanding, so it's just alright. Some Wukong is strong to alright. CC Immuno, no, actually I'll say it's alright. Because CC Immuno, that obviously he gets Soul Eater, but that's not really going to be too much of a factor in this. So he heals while he's in it if he uses Soul Eater. But it's like, at the same time, he's really easy to chase down after using his ult, especially if he's only just used his transformation, because then he won't have it when he gets out of it. And his spawn dies really quickly if you want it to, so it's just alright ult. Susanoo is just alright for a solo laner, not going to provide too much damage, as much as it would in jungle anyway. It's a nice amount of CC though, and it's a decent ult. Nothing too crazy. Unfortunately, Sylvanas ult it's actually alright because it does do a lot of damage in the solo lane. Because you're building a bit more DPS, he's going to do a lot more damage with his ult, and maybe solo the enemies a few times with it. Early game especially, so yeah, it's an alright ult. Terror ult for solo lane is weak. Obviously, like late game, it's going to be like basically like playing support, but early game, you're going to be quite weak. It's going to be quite weak, and it's not going to provide as much as it would late game. So we're just going to put it in weak for now. Thanatos ult, it's quite weak in solo lane because you can't really use it as getaway because it's too slow, which is kind of similar to Rat. Rat's ult is quite slow. Brat's ult is still faster. And then you're not very often looking for executes, and that's one of the reasons why Achilles and Akwang is a little worse, is because you're not always looking for executes, whereas other god, you know you can use their ult, you can get kills, whereas these ones you have to look for executes with their ults. We don't have to, but it's advised. And Thanatos just doesn't feel as good in the solo lane. You can still clean up the back line quite well with it, and you can definitely get stuff value out of it, but it's not the same as when you're in jungle and rotating around the map all the time. You're limited to one lane for most of the game, and you're struggling to kill them, and yeah. Tiro, another one's pretty weak, to be honest. Just it's just a leap that slows. But it's probably the worst. The other ones I've done like the Raven and the Cyrus and all that. Because obviously you're CCing me in it, but like it doesn't go too far. It doesn't do a lot of damage. It's just not all that great. Yeah, it's just a weak ult. It's not a shite, it's just weak. When they shite the mana because of cast dunk. There's no cast dunk, it's probably like top tier, but because the cast dunk is bottom tier. Xing Chan for solo lane is just quite weak. It's just a little bit damage, displacement. It's like a Gabble, but slightly better. Actually, maybe just alright. Now we'll go with shite. No weak, sorry. Because yes, it's an alright ult in team fights, but again in lane phase, people are not going to walk up to your tower when you have ult, and you're not going to get value out of it all that much. So yeah, it's just a weak ult until late game. Yumero, a lot of damage, could actually probably go strong. Just a lot of damage, good confirm on buffs and all that. So buffs and wave and killing someone, it's pretty good at. So yeah, it's strong. Shankui is good clear up ult actually. It's pretty strong. Does a decent amount of damage, covers a wide area. He's knock up immune during it, I'm pretty sure. Maybe root immune as well. It's just a strong ultimate, even in solo. Tsukiyomi ult, pretty strong as well. You know, it does nice CC immunity, it's good damage, and yeah, it definitely isn't a weak ult in solo lane, even though he's not really a solo laner. But he is, but not always. Gilgamesh, for a long time, would have been top tier. But I'm not sure if just the recent patches he's still top tier. I'm going to put him in top tier just to be safe, because he probably still is, because it's Gilgamesh. But he doesn't feel as, his ult doesn't feel as oppressive. But still, it is like a very big displacement, a lot of damage. Still slow. So yeah, it's still top strong, really strong ult. Even though it's been nerfed, it's still really strong. So yeah, top tier because of how much you can just displace enemies with it, and really focus someone out if you want, like a ADC, just drop kick him into the wall. They're struggling. And lastly, a Tiamat for solo is just strong or top tier. Where are we putting her? Probably top tier because she has on such a short cooldown. Simply put, it's another thing. Gilgamesh is always on a long cooldown now. There are a few maybe I could change, like Kuzenbo could definitely be an alright. Could be an alright. Afro could be an alright. Barrett could be strong. Kawa could be strong. Brachano could be strong. There's definitely a lot of things. Depends. Like tomorrow, I might change this listing completely. But I think, as I'm feeling right now, this is the list I would definitely go for. We got two shy. That's another thing to mention. Solo ults all are pretty strong, and those in the weak tier definitely make up for the rest of their kits, like Fearless, Death Scythe, just being alive all the time and getting to team fights, being alive all the time and getting to team fights, Stance Changer, being alive all the time and being in team fights. His just the rest of the kit, isn't it? It's just the pulls and the damage he does. And it's kind of the same in this tier. It's like, well, what does the rest of your kit give you? Heal, stun, a lot of damage. Yeah. And you continue on. So yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope to see you tomorrow, and I hope you like and subscribe and all that good stuff.